June 1st was Kelly Golden Day in the city of Charleston. In this special edition of Quintin's Close-Ups, I sit down with Kelly Golden to talk about her 20 years on air here in Charleston and giving back to the community. Kelly, it is so good to see you again.
Quintin, Washington.
Oh, how are you?
Last time I saw you, you were without an app.
That is true.
Now,
You do have one. You downloaded it.
you have an app for that.
Absolutely.
How'd you know I downloaded it?
Oh,
I did.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And, it's amazing to have that. Be on Channel 4.
Yes, our TV partner, ABC News 4. Yay! So what? Every Monday, what's happening?
Quintin's Close-Ups is going to be seen on there. So you'll see the latest interviews, not only on YouTube, but now abcnews4.com.
In your app.
That's right. Exactly. That is true.
Search Quintin's Close-Ups in your app store.
Apple and Google Play.
Look at that!
Yeah, but forget about me. It's all about you.
No, it's not.
The Kelly Golden Day.
Oh my gosh. Well, it was for one day, June 1.
Take me back to June 1st. Tell me, how did your day start and how did it end in your mind?
Oh, Lord, I don't know how it started. That was a whirlwind, Quintin. I mean, I was trying to soak up every second of it because who gets a day dedicated to you in the city, in the #1 city in the world? That's huge. That's something I just did my best to soak up like a sponge. It was a wonderfully humbling experience to be recognized for your passion, for what you do. I think that's something, Quintin, you do a really great job of here on Quintin's Close-Ups. You really do. You're like the passion police. Like, I noticed that you follow people with, absolute passion about what they're doing. And I just happened to be, one of those people. And the city of Charleston saw that, in the last 2 decades, the amount of community service that is just my passion outside of even the microphone.
Right.
So that, coupled with the tragedies that we've experienced in our community over the last 2 decades of me being a broadcaster, it was nice, to be recognized and to have a whole day. What?
I know, that's really, really exciting.
Wild! And a key!
That's right, it's right over here.
Oh yeah, we should have had that right here. But anyway.
It's all good. You talk about the 20 years of serving this particular community, which is a public service. What particular event sticks out in your mind and why?
Oh, there's so many, Quintin. Honestly, I mean, I grew up huddled in a hallway in Somerville with half my family that lived out on the Sea Islands who came inland to Somerville where I grew up. We were all huddled in our little hallway with the animals surviving Hugo back in 1989. Were you even born yet?
I was probably 3 or 4 years old.
Okay, so you don't quite remember.
I have to go on YouTube.
That's probably a good thing that you don't remember because it was really scary actually. And you look outside your taped up windows where you shouldn't be looking, and I'm peeking, and I'm seeing sheds fly by at 200 miles an hour kind of thing, and it was scary, and a lot of people lost a lot. I remember walking out afterwards, and I'm not even in my teens yet, and it looked like a bomb had gone off. I mean, all the trees were snapped at the same level and just flattened for miles and miles.
Right.
And, that, I would say, growing up like that, you realize you're kind of in, I don't want to say Hurricane Alley, but we started getting used to things being kind of severe because now you just move the line, right? The level just got real, the line moved way out here. But to have something not that drastic happen, at least storm-wise in our community, until the 1,000-year flood event.
Oh, yes.
Right? Until, Floyd was a disaster of a whole nother level,
yes.
but that's politics.
Yeah.
But
You're right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we lost a governor over that one.
Right.
But that and, of course, Hurricane Matthew.
Oh, yes, just recently.
Yeah, and we're, of course, coming up on a couple of anniversaries of, I would say, some of the toughest years in my career, not to take away by any means the tragedies that happened in our community with the fallen Charleston 9 and the Emmanuel 9, and the idea that these were a day apart. So now almost every Father's Day, you and I and other people in our community and in this business are recounting the lives of mothers and fathers in our community that I may have never known. I mean, I think of it that way because that's really tough and tragic, and it feels just as raw to me, some of that. Yeah, I can only imagine, family that continues to go on to this day, and maybe to take away the fact that, their memories live through us people like us who I would have never known Clementa Pinckney.
Right.
You know?
Cynthia Hurd.
Yeah.
Ethel Lance.
Absolutely.
Susie Jackson.
Yes, the Reverend, who actually made it out but died at MUSC.
Yeah.
I remember one of his parishioners from Ondaw called the program the next day as the news was still breaking, and it was also raw and real for so long, still is now, I feel like. But and he said, you know, he was tough, he was a Marine, and he said he did make it out, but it was just, anyway, I think I'm rambling a little bit, but I think that it was the rambling that we all did together, broadcasting on the airwaves and otherwise, whether it was locking arms over the Ravenel Bridge for a couple of miles. I think, have changed as a community and really for the better.
Yeah.
When you didn't think that the Holy City could be a more beautiful place.
Yes, indeed.
I think we put a lot of faces to that beautiful place.
You're absolutely right.
And globally.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I want to go back to June 17, 2015, because obviously that was a very humid day in the Low Country. Yeah. I remember like yesterday.
I know. That's why I said it's so raw and real.
Yeah. I was actually at home on my phone on Twitter when Rob Fowler actually tweeted out something about it.
Of course you were working, Quintin. I knew it.
Yeah.
This guy never stops.
Yes, indeed. As a matter of fact, I didn't go to sleep that night.
No, yeah. How could you?
Right.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, when you got the news, where did your mind go to?
It was that numb feeling, like if you woke up on 9/11 that morning, you're like, is this happening? Is this real? This can't be real. This was such a horrific thing to happen in our front yard, you know, to people that, you know, so many of us know and love.
Right.
I mean, and so many. It felt like a 9/11 style situation, in that it was shock, and numbness, and then it was almost those levels of grief where, I mean, I feel like even though these may have been strangers, the Emmanuel 9 or even the fallen Charleston 9, it was the same kind of feeling where this is our community, these are people, these are mothers and brothers and fathers and sisters in our community, and it felt like they're ours. Yeah. And I know for the families, I hope that brings some peace actually to the surviving families. Yeah. That in a way we grieve so much with them.
Indeed. And let me go back to the Soulful Superstore fire. Obviously, that happened in June
10 years ago.
Oh, yeah, June 2007, that is.
Wild.
What is the biggest difference between 2007 and 10 years later in your mind?
It depends on what we're talking about. I mean, when it comes to fire service or our community and how we treat, I would say people change. There was a phone call on the morning show yesterday where a guy had worked right up the street at I don't know if it was an Applebee's or Ruby Tuesday. Right up the street. Right. And he said, Kelly, I was about to celebrate my 30th birthday. He says, and now I'm about to be 40 years old. And he says, and all I have from that day were the memories of us opening up the doors to the firefighters because they were, you know, exhausted from the heat. Right. You talked about it being such a hot, balmy day into the night and into the day after and so on. And he says, you know, we fed firefighters and we gave them water. And, I mean, that's a story I never heard before. Yeah. 10 years later, there's more stories to be told and to share. And that's really part of the process, isn't it? And I just feel humbled to be a part of a community that embraces going through that together. Yeah. Well, I was just going to say the fact that 10 years ago, over 30,000 people came to lay those 9 firefighters to rest. Right,
at the North Charleston Coliseum.
Yeah, that was incredible. That was an incredible display.
Yeah. Let me turn to politics. As you
really?
know.
Do we have to? Quinn, you're so over politics. Honestly, it's so divisive.
I try to stay away from it. And I got to deal with it
every day.
You have to talk.
I know, but we just got through this election, and it's just like, Lord, please.
What is the state of politics in your mind?
In my mind, oh gosh, I think that I feel politics by nature divides us, and I can't stand the labels. It drives me nuts. In fact, during the Key to the City ceremony, I talked about that. I talked about the fact that, State Representative Wendell Gilliard, when we first knew each other over a decade ago, he was a city councilman, and we would fight tooth and nail about politics and be in disagreement about things. But on the weekend, I was packing a station van with fans, and we were distributing them as part of Project Cool Breeze in downtown Charleston to Miss Goss, who said, Lord Kelly, I don't know what I would have done without this man. I probably would have died in here. And let me tell you, in the middle of June in her cinder block house in downtown Charleston without AC, she probably would have. So those are the things that I think we need to concentrate on. I think so often we agree on what the problems are. We just need to come together a little bit more on giving a little on how to solve them. So welcome to what I think the state of politics are. I think that that's a decades-old long thing that, I don't know, I hope to find some common ground and start from there, as opposed to immediately dividing us and here's a label and here's a label, and let's start with what we agree on. How about that? Yes. Right? Better education in schools, in public schools in Charleston County. Boy, there's a news story for you.
Let me go
it's been that way for decades. That's how we met, Quintin.
Right. Back at 75 Calhoun Street, we both covered the Charleston County School Board meetings.
Quintin was like this.
Right.
This old.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Were you in middle school?
Yes, Courtney Middle, interning at Channel 5.
Yes. A middle schooler interning. Isn't that incredible?
Sitting at a school board meeting for 2-3 hours.
Parents don't even want to go to school board meetings.
Yes.
Of course, that's part of the problem, not parent shaming, but honestly, we, and even on the program, I talk about it with listeners. I say, listen, we can call in and we can complain about stuff, but let's talk about solutions.
Okay.
And, we want to get all up in arms about who the president is. Well, you know what's more important, to be honest, what's going to affect you the most? Going to a school board meeting, going to a city council meeting, getting involved in county politics. I mean, that's important. Those are the things that are going to affect our lives every day. Instead of worrying about resisting the current administration. I'm just saying, this is where my head is.
And they talk to you more about that because, obviously, Representative Seth Whipper is stepping down as state representative. He's going to become a magistrate judge.
Yeah. And
obviously Marvin Fidaris has stepped in and said, hey, I'm going to run for that seat. When you think about that, what goes to your mind?
I haven't really paid a whole lot of attention to those seats. And I mean, statewide politics, I think, are in such a state, no pun intended. I mentioned battling it out with Wendell Gilliard. Right. I disagree with Republicans, too, who voted for a hike in our gas tax. So my disagreement goes across the board. It doesn't really matter if it's an R or a D. But it really depends on where his head is on things that matter in his community and his constituents. I feel like lawmakers or politicians do a great job of kind of picking their voters, who they want to vote for them, and then let me just tell you exactly what I think you want to hear, and then when I go to Columbia, we're going to do something completely different. Well, that's not working. That's not working for the state of South Carolina. It should be working for any voter who votes for a politician that does otherwise. I'm going to continue to hold each and one of our elected leaders to, no matter if it's an R or D, an independent or whatever.
Right.
Let's hold them to their promises. Hold their feet to the fire. I mean, I feel like we are so, and believe me, I grew up here. We're polite to sometimes to the T, and we will not go there like face to face. I don't know. We might be seeing a little bit more of that now with this this new administration in the White House. But I would say let's make sure that our politicians are walking their talk. That is so hugely important. You and I can say whatever we want, but if we're not doing it, that doesn't make us worth our salt. No.
You talk about President Trump a lot. When you look at
well, I try not to because I want to move on because we did have an election and he got elected. But anyway.
Yeah. What letter grade would you give him as far as job performance?
I mean, he's newly on the job, Quintin.
Right.
Lord, how much time are we going to give him? Usually when you get hired, you get 90 days. Are we that far in? Yeah, we are.
Okay.
I would say that so far, listen, he's a business guy. We just threw kind of a Molotov cocktail right into the D.C. Beltway. In a way that there were entrenched politicians for a very long time. Now we got a businessman in there who doesn't know jack about being a politician. And it's like no one knows what to do. It's like the pebble in the water. It's got that ripple effect.
Yeah.
You see how long those ripples hang and how far they go? It takes a little bit of time. I think that there is there's a lot of change coming, and I know that sometimes we are fearful of change, and sometimes change is necessary. Otherwise, what is that the definition of insanity or stupidity, where you don't change anything but you expect different results? We have to change. We're going to get the same results if we don't change something. So I think that there's going to be some change. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, there's certainly a change in that we went from a Democratic president to a Republican one. So
Okay.
I do air quotes because I don't know. Is he a Republican? I don't know. I don't even know what a Republican and Democrat even mean anymore, to be honest.
Wow. Well, let me switch from politics to Mornings with Kelly Golden, which can be heard on WSC here, 94.3.
Conveniently.
I know.
Over my shoulder. So, yes. What about that? 6 to 9 a.m.
Right, yeah, exactly.
iHeartRadio app for those of you not within the listening area.
Exactly.
Yeah. See, I've got an app too, Quintin. Check it out.
That's right. Yeah. But what's next? What will the next morning look like in your mind?
I like that you asked that, because I think the same thing about you, Quintin. And every single one of us, actually. I think about, I put the to-do list down every day. Like, what's on the day's list?
Right.
What about the week? What am I going to get accomplished in the next, minute? You know, my coffee's brewing this morning, and I'm like, all right, I got 60 seconds. What can I get done?
Right, exactly.
It's crazy, but that's how I think.
Yes.
So it's always hard for me to answer that question.
Okay.
What are my goals in the next, 45 minutes? Or, in the next 45 years. I want to always continue to walk my talk, and that is to be a part of the community in a way that is helpful.
Right.
And so I hope and pray that I remain in some place or position wherever I am, that people can reach out and that I can say, hey, I've got a platform right here and we can make some change and we can do something about this. I want to, that's an awesome responsibility of which I shoulder it. It feels heavy at times, but I love it. And I want people to know that there are outlets there. I mean, I think that I don't ever want there to be any kind of hopelessness. And I think that there are people who have struggled, economically over the last 8-10 years, and I think things are starting to change a little. We're starting to see a better, maybe brighter day, and I see what wonderful things happen when people come together.
Sure. Right
here in our own front yard.
Lord.
So I'm always here to be an advocate, the glue, whatever it is. That's wherever I am, I hope for that to be the case.
Well, I have to say this. Congratulations on 20 years plus for your work in this particular community and on the air.
Thank you.
And
I can't believe that.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Am I old enough? I'm sorry. You had to get a little joking in there.
No, you're good. I just wanted to articulate that we thank you for your service. We thank you for what you do here in this particular community, and we hope you can continue to do it for more and more years.
I hope so too. And Quintin, I want to say the same thing to you. I mean that, because not only do I know that you get something out of each and every one of these interviews, but to be able to share it with everybody else means a whole lot. Because, like I said, you're like the passion police, and that, in a way, you're sort of like you're paying it forward.
Well, I hope I am.
Yeah, you are, by sharing it with other people. So I know you have some folks who maybe a little off the rails, or...
Oh, yeah.
Do you know who I'm thinking of?
He's always nice to me.
But they're very intelligent people. I was thinking about Thomas Revenue. I know you were thinking about, but
he's a great guy.
He absolutely is.
Yeah.
Thomas is a brilliant guy. Right. Now, do I want them to do another episode of
Southern Charm? Kelly Golden.
Please. It's not going anywhere, I don't think, because now we've got Savannah involved and all these other ones.
Next will be Jacksonville.
No, don't give us any ideas.
Or Atlanta. Augusta.
Augusta. My word.
Oh, gosh. This was fun. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Anytime.
No, you can't borrow the key.
No. Not even to use the restroom?
The mayor told me that it opens every door in the city of Charleston.
What?
I'm still working on that. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, I think he meant every door to the ladies' restrooms. I don't know. So good luck with that one.
Yes. Yes, you're right. Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Good to see you.
Likewise.